Welcome to Mother-Daughter Projects. I'm Vicki, and today I'm excited to share these mini lighted epoxy Christmas trees. I'm always up for a challenge, so when I came across these mini silicone tree molds, I decided to see if I could add battery-powered lights into them. I'm trying out these T-Rex alcohol inks to color the trees. I mixed up a small amount of Total Boat epoxy and added a bit of green ink. I mixed it up and poured a very small amount into the individual molds. These are faceted plastic beads that are going in first to add a bit of color and interest to the front of the trees. Now for the lights. I turned them on to be sure they worked. The hardest part was figuring out how to add the lights so that the trees would be in a continuous row once they were removed from the molds. I started by placing the lights into the far right bottom mold, making sure to keep the connecting wires at the bottom of each of the trees. For the two trees above the first 5, I left about 4 of the lights out of the epoxy so that each tree would have 2 each and the slack would allow the trees to be in a continuous row. As the epoxy began to set up, I continued to push the lights into the epoxy so that they were well seated into the first layer of the epoxy. Layer 2 starts with mixing up more Total Boat epoxy. It's easy to mix as you use equal amounts of parts A and part B. I measured the parts into 2 separate cups and then mixed the 2 together in one large container. I again tinted the epoxy with the green T-Rex alcohol ink. Then I added the epoxy to finish filling each of the molds. And of course, I needed to add a bit of holographic glitter for sparkle. As well as adding a few more bead ornaments and a sprinkle of fine, clear beads. I did hit those air bubbles with a heat gun to get rid of them, by the way. I couldn't resist checking to see if the lights still worked after pouring the epoxy, and they did! Success! Here I'm unmolding the lighted trees and the ones without the lights. After unmolding, I arranged the lighted trees so that they'd stand all in a row and turn them on. I wanted to add a star to the top of each tree. I was fortunate to find the perfect silicone mold for this. Because the star molds are tiny, I knew it would be hard to remove the air bubbles, so I poured the mixed epoxy into a flat mold and used a heat gun to remove the bubbles, and then poured this degassed epoxy into the molds. I'm using Gorilla Clear Grip contact adhesive to attach the stars to the trees. I added some to a glass container so it would be easier to apply the glue with a silicone tool. I added a bit of glue to each tree and corresponding star and let it set up for 2 minutes. I used a 3/8" square wood dowel to hold the stars in the correct place while they bonded to the trees. Look, perfect little epoxy Christmas trees. I might add little jump rings to these so that they can hang on a large Christmas tree. And here are the trees all staged on our miniature ladder tree that holds seasonal decor all year round. When I poured the tiny stars, I also poured these larger ones. These and the small ones have iridescent glitter in them. What we learned. I didn't know it at the time, but these little trees ended up being the perfect decor to go on Steph's little mini tree that she keeps in the kitchen. If you want to see how we made that, we'll put a link in the description below. Now, a couple of things I might try next time is maybe cut apart that epoxy molds. I put them all in a row and make it easier to put in the lights. And then I would probably use a little bit lighter alcohol ink so more light would shine through those trees. If you like this project and you want to see more, please visit us at motherdaughterprojects.com and like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Good job, Mom. High five.
It was so much fun to do.